Hi everybody, bonjour à tous. I'm Anne-Laure Naveos. I've been working at Arkéa, the banking group, for about 15 years now. I'm in charge of strategic investment and all the collaboration with fintech companies within the group. And I have a great team to help me do this, and I see a few well-known heads.
Okay. We were just talking before the panel about the thesis behind the activities that Arkéa has engaged in the last, since 2008? Is that what you said? And I thought it was very distinctive. And I wanted you to say a little bit about that.
Yes. If I'm here today concluding this morning dedicated to investment in fintech, it's because Arkéa has been an early investor in fintechs. We made it. We made two big choice, two big decision in our strategy in 2008. We are a mid-sized banking group compared to all the very big players in the French market. And we bet on two strategic pillars, the digital and the B2B white label activities to foster our growth. And to do so, we develop, of course, online banking, but also we started to work for other financial institutions, for banking, insurance groups, and also we worked a lot with fintech companies. So, Compte Nickel, they started with Arkéa, having their accounts with Arkéa and so on. And this gave us a specific view on what was going on in our environment. And in 2011, we closed our first deal for first investment in fintech. It wasn't called fintech at that time. The bankers said it was TechFig or something like that. And it was United Credit in 2011 and followed closely by Linkso. And we also made 4 acquisitions these last years. Litchi MangoPay in 2015, Pumpkin in 2016, and Budget Insight last year. And maybe one figure that isn't well known in the market, between 2012 and 2017, Arkéa, only Arkéa, the amounts we invested in fintechs, they were equal to 30% of the total funds raised by fintech companies in France. So we are glad it's no longer the case today because because it means that there are a lot of PEs and of other banks who have started playing in the market and who have entered the game. But we have really helped a fintech ecosystem grow and develop in France, and that's why we have maybe this particular position in the market.
What
today.
year was that? That you were 30%?
From each year, from 2012 to 2017.
Okay. So you were at if I think about the CB Insights data, you were pretty much at the global standard versus right? Because about 30%. It was in 2017, it finally achieved 30% of corporate involvement in VC, so you were way ahead of the curve.
Yes.
Well done.
Yes, in France, we really we had a significant share of investment in fintechs because at the beginning it wasn't so many players there to invest in fintech companies. Yeah.
So I'm right. So you've made a lot of investments. You've made 4 acquisitions, which is great. How have you thought about when do you invest versus when do you acquire, and you know have you had to tie the two together or keep them separate?
So we started with minority deals. We started with small tickets in fintech companies to observe. I guess at the very beginning it was more it was not a very well thought decision to say we will gather a portfolio of fintech companies, but it was rather the next logical thing to do after starting working and opening our banking platform to other competitors. And then our first acquisition was a few years later in 2015, when we decided to acquire Litchi and MangoPay. This was why, because we had a better, a clearer intention of what to do together. Maybe the first investments, they have a good idea. We think it's important that this idea can develop and grow in our environment, and it's interesting to learn from each other and to have their specific view on how to build these new financial services. But when we acquired Litchi and MangoPay, we had a strategic intention much more clearer, and this is the case when we acquire these companies. We have a common project. It's clear from the beginning. We spend a lot of time talking to each other to imagine how it will work and how we will cooperate together. And this is why we make acquisitions, and we on top of minority investments.
So when you did do these acquisitions, were you acquiring sort of the same thing each time, right? Were you acquiring EBITDA, we're acquiring new capabilities, we're acquiring talent, right? I mean, how do you think about those?
When I prepared this talk, I was wondering what I could share with you, and I just realized how different were every investment we made. I think the first maybe insight I like to share is there's no insight, there's no magical formula, there's no standard to an investment or to an acquisition in fintech industry. I think each project is specific, and you really need to know each other, to be clear on your intentions, or to why you're here. And the previous panel say that a lot, but I totally agree. I think it's important to know why you're here, and maybe the specificity when it's corporate venture capitalists who invest in your company is you're clear on what is your level of autonomy. For us, autonomy is the key word at the basis of a good partnerships, and you have to find a balance between belonging to a group and to its strategic partnerships, and at the same time not developing from the group point of view a proprietary reflex. I don't know if it's correct in English, but you know, to feel yeah, it works. Okay.
It works.
To feel that the company belongs totally to you, and you really have to. What is important is these fintech companies, they do something starting from nothing, and it's very different from trying to adapt your own business to the environment. And this is the key things that you want to preserve in these partnerships, to keep this entrepreneurial spirit, to really rely on this talent and on their way of doing things. And this is what is difficult to do. I totally disagree, on contrary with the previous panels, saying that all banking groups are trying to integrate. We don't want to integrate. When we acquire, there's a figure at a McKinsey study that says that almost 2/3 of acquisitions are failures. So when you acquire a company, what is important is to preserve their identity and to find a common ground, to work together, to have a cultural to respect the cultural specificities, but at the same time to build a common ground to work together. But in any case, you don't want to integrate, or at least at Arkéa, we don't want to integrate.
Okay, okay. We're actually out of time, but I'm wondering if you'll stay just a little bit longer in case there's any questions.
Yes, I'll be there shortly because I have a lunch afterwards.
So we can take 1 or 2 questions if they're short. Otherwise, I'm going to ask you to talk about one other thing, and then I'll let you all go. No questions? Okay. You said something very interesting as we were sitting back there about the nature of a collective and what it takes to convince the collective that they should make an investment or an acquisition. And I'd love for you to tell that story just very briefly.
Yes. Maybe a thing also specific with Arkéa is we are a cooperative bank. We are owned by our clients, and we have and our board is composed of people coming from our branches and representing our clients. And they're not sophisticated professional financial players, and it's no offense when I say that. It's, on the contrary, it keeps things basic and simple. And in having this bon sens paysan, as you say in French, is very important when you're investing. So maybe having to explain to this board why you acquire this company, this startup, and having to explain it in simple words, making the story clear and understandable, is something that is very helpful for us in the investment to help make the framework clear even for our funders and the entrepreneurs working with us. And I think we are really trying in all these partnerships to build the match from the start and in the long term, and to have a governance that is finally quite close to the governance we have in minority investments, because we are really willing to promote this space of autonomy that they gain in these investments.
I find that a fascinating idea as I think about the different organizations that I've sold companies to or invested with. When you have customers essentially helping you to make those decisions, as opposed to people who are trying to protect their own jobs, essentially.
The concept of power users.
That's amazing. That's an insight for me that I hadn't thought about until you brought this up. So I want to thank you for that. We've got to end here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing all of this.
Thank you.